Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So I thought I would do this quick video really, just showing you guys what I've been up to with this 911 and what I've actually been doing while I've been waiting for the case halves to come back. And realistically, I'm trying to document all this, one to show you guys how much is actually involved in a rebuild for these 911s so people can appreciate actually how much work actually goes into this. Now I'm not saying every single Porsche you find on the market, if it's had a rebuild, it's going to have had this done, because as many of you guys know, most people do take them to garages, and obviously garages are going to charge for their labor and to do these other bits and pieces, which is going to cost a lot of people money. But bearing in mind, I know what I'm doing. Obviously I've got the engine apart, so I've just been running over a load of other things, trying to correct other things and fix other things that were not okay on this car. So when it all goes back in, everything runs absolutely perfect. It's going to have full compression. Car's going to run absolutely faultless, and we're going to have no more issues. And obviously I want to make sure this is a one-time rebuild. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going doing everything I've been doing. So let's get onto it, and I'm going to show you everything I've been doing on this Porsche 911. So the first thing you can see here, guys, is I've done the brake line that runs to my driver's side rear. Now, a lot of people know this is a pain to do because it runs from the caliper on the rear driver's side, which will be you guys in the US, your rear passenger side, comes over the top of the chassis here, through the middle, and this is where the gearbox usually sits, runs all the way down here and underneath and connects onto the joint, which goes back off to the ABS pump and all the ABS hydraulic system along the car. Now this is a long piece of brake pipe, and like I say, it wasn't hard to do at all. You just have to know what you're doing. Now, bearing in mind I've done brake pipes for a very, very long time. I've been doing them on the BMs because it's a common problem. But this one had to be done. The reason I put this in copper, many of you are gonna ask why didn't I just go for the original ones like I did on the passenger side, was purely because this one is not easy to get to, and if it rots out again, you got to take the whole engine down to do it. Now, if the car never has bore score, doesn't have any other symptoms, why are you gonna take the engine out? So that's why I put this in here, so you never have to actually worry about it ever again. That's one of the things I did do, was put in a whole new brake line on there, so that's done, so the engine's ready to go back up. And this will be a complete MOT pass, because obviously it's got a whole new brake line there, because this is the one most MOTs, especially in the UK, probably in the US when you go to get inspected, will target this one. Do you know why? Because they want the money that's involved with this little brake line right here. Well, I say little, but it's actually long, but it's, you know, a 10-minute job very, very easily if you know what you're doing. But there's a lot of money involved because, as many of you guys know, engine has to be dropped. And to get to that, because you can't do it while the car's in situ. I know many people do, but it just ain't beneficial for me. Now, a lot of the Porsche guys do this on axle stands outside their house, and I don't know how the hell they do that with the engine in situ. That is just impossible. I don't know why you would pull the engine out, leave the brake line, then come back and do it. It makes more sense to just do it while the engine's out, do it right there and then. Copper brake pipe is so cheap to buy, and you know it's never gonna rust and never had no issues again. So why not just do it while you're in here? But that has been done. I'm very, very happy about that, because now I don't have to worry about it failing anything on the MOT. So the next one here, guys, you can see we got 4 pistons. Now, you're probably asking, why have I got 4 pistons and not 6 when it's a 6-cylinder? This is because if any of you have come over from Nathan's Porsche channel, you would have seen 2 of my pistons were badly scratched up from the bore score, and it had scratched away all the coating. Now, he does say on that video I was very hesitant about reusing them pistons for good reason, because I know you cannot put them back in the engine. Now him, people on the comments, friends of his, were saying they would run them and reuse them, but I didn't feel comfortable reusing scratched up pistons. I'll put a screenshot in it so you can actually see them. But yes, you guys know me, I'm quite a perfectionist, and there was no way I was gonna be reusing scratched up pistons back in my new liners. Just no chance at all. Many people were against using Scotch-Brite. Many people were, you know, saying to do other things with it. Many people are saying to buy used pistons. Many of you guys know Porsche. Finding used pistons for one of these engines is never even seen, because majority of the time they're all scratched up. People throw them in the bin and go and buy the MAL ones, which a lot of people don't understand. These are originally MAL, the genuine Porsche ones, and the machine shop actually told me that, who's got the case halves. My good friend told me these are actually MAL ones, which are original Porsche ones, which a lot of people don't know, but obviously they're not allowed to promote them as MAL. They have to promote them as genuine Porsche ones to sell them. But yes, my good friend, one of my good friends who was in a rebuild as well, doing this from the Porsche Club, instead of rebuilding his one, he decided to delay his rebuild and send me out 4 of his good used pistons and asked me to pick the 2 that I need, use them and send the other 2 back, because he's not rebuilding this at the moment. He's not in a rush to do it where he knows I am. So he sent me and gave me 4 pistons, told me to pick the ones because his ones only had like very fine scratches, nothing deep on them, and the coating's still on there. You can see here, obviously we could have them recoated if we wanted to, but there's no need. Mine were a lot worse than this. My scratches were so deep you could feel them with your fingernail. These ones you can't. When you scratch along them, there's no deep scratches. You've also got this one right here, which is in really, really good condition with only minor scrapes, but the coating's still on them perfectly, you can see there. And he sent these to me and said, you know what, instead of you delaying your rebuild, because he knows I need to get this car done, he sent me his pistons. So you can see here as well, all of these are in good condition. These are ones he removed from bank 1, 2, 3, and 5. So these were all in good condition. These are not the cylinders that I end up bore scoring anyway. He sent me them and said to me, just use the ones I'm going to use and send the other ones back, because obviously he's going to find it hard to find another 2, but he can wait to find another 2. He sent me these and said to me, you know what, get on with your rebuild. I'm really, really grateful for him actually sending these. His name's Keith. He was actually part of the Porsche Club as well. He sent me them and said to me to use them, and I'm really, really grateful. You know, he had them there, and this one I don't think I will use, because you can see it's got quite some scoring marks, nothing major, but I just don't think I would use that one, because we've got 2 in better condition over here with the coating, and this one. So these will probably be the 2 I'll end up going for, because they're quite clear. But I didn't want to reuse my old pistons because they were badly scratched, and there's just no way possible I felt comfortable putting them back in the engine at all. So yes, he did send me them, and he saved my ass big time so I can get this engine back together, because I know a lot of you, if you're in a rebuild or you plan to do a rebuild, you know how hard it is to find genuine Porsche pistons, and they're never available at all anywhere. That's why a lot of people have to opt for the male ones, because finding used ones is just not possible. But I got very, very lucky, and this is what happens. Having contacts saved my backside big time. So as you can see here as well, this is the second head done on this Porsche 997. I have lapsed and cleaned off all the valves, so all the exhaust valves, all the intake valves, cleaned them up the best we could. I've obviously lapsed them all in as well, so there should be no issues at all. Now these were in a very, very poor state. They were badly carboned up. They needed to be lapsed, they needed to be cleaned, and the amount of crap that actually come off them was absolutely unbelievable. But it's to be expected, you know. Everyone's saying, oh, look how bad they were on this Porsche engine, but you got to bear in mind, if this was any other engine, because they don't need a rebuild, you never get to see them. But I bet if you took any car off at 100k and took the heads off and looked at the valves, they would all be badly carboned up. That's just from the fuel, you know, the air, depending on what fuel people use at the time. It's what carboned them up badly anyway. So these have all been cleaned down. They move really, really nice now. They're not sticking. They've been lapsed in, done all that. The heads are ready. We've just got to get the springs back on, the valve springs and the keepers back on, and that's done. This head's been sitting here, left it for 24 hours after I lapsed them all in, let all the grinding paste, wiped all the grinding paste off, you know, and just let them all sit. But that is all ready now. The head looks absolutely perfect. Now, as I said, this is the job that if you was to take your car for a rebuild in a garage, they do not do this as part of the rebuild. This is an extra service. So do bear that in mind. You're not going to have your valves lapsed or anything if you take your car for rebuild, or even the valve stems. They're not going to do them either. They're literally just rebuilding the engine, repairing the problem and putting the car back in. Obviously, that's what you're paying them to do, is a rebuild to make the engine run perfect again, not to rebuild and make everything fresh and new. So you've got to bear that in mind. You know, this is optional choice to do that. I chose to do it because I didn't like how black everything was. So this is the second head done. Valve springs, grab on keepers, and then we can put them heads back on the car, all nice and clean. And I should have no compression issues when this car goes back together. You can see in here, this is all the new valve stem seals that we've put in. We've done all new valve stem seals as well in here. As I said, this is something I wanted to do because you just never know what I didn't want to do. Put the heads back on and then end up with, you know, blue smoke from valve stem seal, it leaking oil down into the chamber, and then we have to take the engine back apart. So I did them all now, so I know there should be no issues when we put this engine back together. All the valve stem seals I use are all genuine ones as well, so that's what I mean. I wanted to be on the safe side. They've all been redone, And like I said, there is nothing else left to do apart from get this engine back together now, because everything is ready. So there you have it, guys. Like I said, I didn't want to keep this video longer than needed. It was just showing you the other bits that I've actually done on this Porsche 911 to get the car back ready for the engine to go back in. Now everything is ready for the engine to go back into the car, and we can then just focus on, you know, everything else that this car needs, like interior wise. Needs a new radio, needs the interior buffed up a bit, needs a new steering wheel, because I'm not happy with the way the airbag's sitting on that car. There's a lot of things I need to run over this car. It's all minor bits though. I've done all the major bits. Once the engine is back in, this car is absolutely sorted at the rear. It's just the front I've got to focus on a bit more. I've got to do the other brake line there at the front. That's the last one I got left. And I've got a coolant pipe that actually broke from being plastic, which is nothing to it. It's literally a long piece of coolant pipe which just passes through the middle of the subframe, and just that's it. Connects on by two plastic rivets to finish the coolant hose on it, and that'll be the whole front and rear of the car done. The car can then come down and we can start focusing on the interior. Now obviously I do have the boot lid, I still got the wheels, there's still a lot of other things I've got to do. Obviously I've got to service the transmission, which I've got the kit here as well for that. There's a lot of other things I've still got to do, but all them bits do not take long, and that's all something I can do very, very quickly. My main priority right now is getting the engine back in the car. That's why I've done that brake line, so now there's no delays. I've got the pistons here, thank God, as I said, from my good friend who actually sent them to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know what I'd be doing right now. I'd be having a search. I did order male pistons, brand new ones, all 6, paid £1,400 for them. Then I got told by a company who I found online that they didn't have them in stock and there was going to be like a 2-month wait for them. Now I was prepared to wait the 2 months because there was nothing much I could do. And then after I contacted my friend and telling him what I'd done, he was like, why in the hell have I paid £1,400 for pistons and waiting 2 months? He's like, you need to get this engine rebuilt ASAP because you've got meant to be selling it. So he sent me these pistons, said to me, just install these in there. They're in much better condition than you've got. Install them, get that engine rebuilt, and that's what I've done. I'm really, really grateful. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope this video will just help you see what's actually been going on here. Thank you very much for watching. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.